How's it going? This is your main man, Prometheus, here in sunny Southern California, Orange County. Just sitting on my front porch, Sunday afternoon. And I saw a video today on YouTube, and it brought up a question in my mind that I've thought about off and on for quite a while. And the question is, can a light-skinned or biracial black man give effective dating advice to a dark-skinned black man, particularly as it pertains to going overseas, but actually anywhere? Can they do it? Is it effective? Now, before I get into that, I just want to say this. I think of our light-skinned brothers and sisters as black. If I see a light-skinned black guy, biracial black guy, he's black. Unless he chooses to identify as something else, and then I will, call him what he wants to be called. But in my mind, he's black. If I see a light-skinned girl, I don't care if she looks like Mariah Carey, she's black. So this is in no way to disparage light-skinned people in general. They are black. We, as American black people, accept them and think of them, not just accept, think of them as blacks. And I think that's one of the reasons why the civil rights fight in the United States, as far as black people are concerned, has been more effective in the United States than other parts of the world where there are large black populations. Because in other parts of the world, as a lot of you know, the black people are separated in shades and castes, and so someone my color would be called black, someone my sister's color would be called colored, and someone my cousin's color would be called something else. Yet we're all we're all family, and I think that slows up civil rights, that slows up progress. When it comes to early civil rights for the United States, it was light-skinned black brothers and sisters spearheading the charge, spearheading the movement for black American civil rights. Congress in 1897 wasn't going to listen to someone my color. They were more inclined to listen to someone who didn't look all the way black. And so it was our light-skinned brothers and sisters paving the way. Not only them, but they were a lot of times the figurehead and the spearhead, paving the way for rights for all of us. So this is in no way to disparage my light-skinned black brothers and sisters. I'm speaking simply about effective dating advice for a dark-skinned or just a regular, the majority of black American men. Is it really, are you really going to get effective advice from someone? Can DeBarge really give Wesley Snipes the lowdown on where he should go to meet women? What tactics should he use? And the answer honestly is not really. In my opinion, the answer is not really. Now, a lighter-skinned black man can give a dark-skinned black man a lot of good general advice. They can tell you, a light-skinned black man can tell me, hey, women in this country are conservative, or they're very shy, or they don't like foreigners too much, or they love foreigners. That's general knowledge, and it's useful knowledge. And anyone can give, a white guy could tell me that. Actually, a lighter skinned black guy could come tell me, hey, over here in Thailand, if you're not Thai, when you go to a museum or when you go to an attraction, they're probably going to charge you double. He can tell me that, right? A lighter skinned black guy could even tell me that, hey, in this country, the women are more liberal. They like to party. They're a lot of fun. We can get a lot of useful tidbits, a lot of useful knowledge from any observant man, regardless of his ethnicity or his, skin color. If he's intelligent and he knows human nature and has studied female nature and he can break it down, we can get a lot of useful information. So I am by no means saying you shouldn't listen to your favorite light-skinned YouTuber. I'm not saying that, because you can and you do get good information from them. However, you need to have another source of information from folks who are more likely to experience what you experience. Okay, so and is that a shameless plug for me and my channel? Maybe, perhaps, but it's the truth nonetheless. I am not going to have the same success rate, good or bad, as Chris Brown. And I'm not talking about the actual Chris Brown. I'm talking about someone whose phenotype looks like that. He is simply going to be perceived differently by a lot of women, even just by the locals in general. I, as a dark-skinned black man, am going to face different challenges from women in, let's just say, Thailand or Vietnam or even the Philippines. Why is this? Because these are societies that are highly colorist and somewhat racist, if we just want to be fully honest. But colorist, definitely. Now, does that mean you can't meet people and the people aren't friendly to you? No. The Thai people are some of the most friendliest people on earth. And Filipinos, not even before I start going to the Philippines, my co-workers and then later on my employees, half my crew was Filipino. I hired them. I love them. You know what I mean? So, very good people, treat you wonderful, loyal, hardworking, you know what I mean? All of that. But they perceive beauty standards to where the lighter, the better. That's just how it is. I'm not gonna shy away from saying that. If they don't want people to say that about them, then they need to change that way of thinking. But they don't, so we're gonna mention it. They like light skin. So now, it's a little different dealing with men. Obviously, a darker skinned man isn't seen as unattractive as, unfortunately to say this, a darker skinned woman might be. There's always been the tall, dark, and handsome, stereotype of what women like. So Obviously, as men, being darker skinned is not always a negative, but it is different than someone who is Chris Brown's color. He's going to be treated differently, not just by the women, by the police, by the locals. Some of these countries that a lot of us visit, in places like Latin America, Asia, even parts of Africa, are they will even judge your what they perceive your wealth to be based on your skin color. So they'll see a lighter skinned person regardless of ethnicity and just assume that person has more wealth or more power. I mean, I don't think some of us really understand just how colonized a lot of these people are. We think, it's just human nature to think everyone thinks like you. So if you're American, you kind of assume, because you can't hardly help it, everyone thinks like an American. No, they don't, man. No, they don't. So, I mean, I can tell you some stories, but, just suffice it to say that colorism is real. And so when you're trying to make a judgment on where to go, where to spend your money, where to possibly relocate, it's always best to get the advice and some examples from someone who closely mimics, whose situation closely mimics yours, whether that's their financial situation, their social situation, or how they look. To determine, to kind of be able to predict how you're going to do. It's not a guarantee, of course. Obviously, I'm not your twin, and I can't, everyone's situation varies, but you'll get a lot more information. You'll get a lot further ahead listening to my advice about where to go and where to party and what neighborhoods to live in than you would Chris Hemsworth, right? If you're black, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be able to tell you. Half the information he gives you simply is not going to apply because you're not white. You know what I'm saying? So, and the same goes again, like I said, with lighter skinned people, especially those that are, just almost ambiguous racially. You don't even, it's hard, because black people come in various shades. You have some black people that are very light, and their face looks like mine. They just look like a black dude with light skin. And then you have some folks whose features are so Caucasian because their grandma's white, or all of us have white great grandpas, grandma. I'm not shaming them. I'm just saying that their dad is half white. Not like my great grandpa. Their father is half white. So naturally their phenotype is ambiguous. And so if they go somewhere and have a certain experience, the locals may not have even realized what race they are in some of these cases, you know what I mean? So thinking that I'm gonna go to that same place and get the same experience is just, it's naive. It's probably not going to happen. Now, I'll get the same experience from the foreigner point of view. How these people treat all foreigners, yes, I will get treated similar to all the other foreigners. But whatever certain nuances or privilege or perks they assign to people that they perceive to be a higher caste, based a lot of times on skin color, I'm not going to receive those perks and privileges. that a Austin Holloman might, or and I'm not saying he's received any perks or privileges, but he wouldn't even know it, because that's just what his life. That's his life. You know what I mean? So unless he's got some darkies running around with him, you know what I mean? He can immediately contrast what they're going through. But guys, so there it is. I mean, it's just best to get your advice get it from everyone you trust, but don't forget to gather intel from some individuals whose circumstances, whose monetary circumstances, whose physical circumstances, whose social circumstances, maybe even whose personality circumstances resemble yours, whose wants and desires resemble yours. Like, for instance, I hear a lot of people talking about they're going to go to Thailand and these places and live for $700 a month and get us. It doesn't even cross my mind to live in a condo that's not at least $1,500 a month. Sorry, it just doesn't. It just doesn't. You can say what you want. You can say I'm just blowing smoke. It doesn't. I have not seen any condos in Thailand or the Philippines, and believe me, I've toured them. I've toured a lot. That under $1,500 that I would actually be happy in. So to hear people say they're going to get a $700 condo, I'm just kind of like, well, where? What? Dude, I mean, does it have air conditioning? And I get it. I know that the condos and stuff are cheaper in those places, and you can get a fully furnished and fully stocked air conditioning, heating, the whole bit for $700, $800 a month in Thailand. But it's still not going to have the luxury, or it won't have the size. It might be luxury. It might be in the same condo unit that I want to live in, but the size is going to be small. You guys see my neighborhood, man. I'm used to big homes, so I want my home's big. So I'm not going there to downgrade. I want the same space, right? So I like to get advice. There's this guy on the YouTube. I don't know his name. Actually, a little light skinned dude. I think he's short. Light skinned guy, and he's always talking about fancy. He likes fancy stuff, fancy eateries, Michelin star. I'm like, I mean, I'm not gonna really follow his. I'll listen to what he has to say as far as dating, but I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt because it may not apply to me because he's a different phenotype. But in terms of how he wants to live in a more luxury lifestyle, I follow his advice to the letter. I think he does. I don't really know what he does. Sounds like he imports, exports. I don't know what he does. I think he does a little bit of everything. But wish I knew his name, or I could remember his name. But the way he wants to live is right up my alley. We don't look nothing alike, but the way he wants to live is right up my alley. So I do listen to him in terms of his advice on what condos to stay in, which restaurants are delicious, which attractions are nice, which places are upscale, because how he wants to live fits my personality. So I'm there you can get you're going to get information from various entities that fit, not one individual is going to fit everything about you. There might be some people whose personality fits yours. Some people whose how they want to live, whether they want to live a plush life or a scaled down life, that fits yours. Some people look fits yours. So some people's financial wherewithal fits yours. So you're going to get information from those that fit you, but But remember, when it comes to dating, a lot of it's visual, especially initially when you first meet a girl. And so you need to know how you're going to be treated on first sight. Because a lot of times, how they perceived you initially, it takes a lot to change that later. You know what I mean? So you need to know, how are these people in this country going to view me initially? And that's why you kind of need to get advice or ask some questions from people who fit, who mimic your phenotype a little more closely than some guy that looks like a Brazilian supermodel. We have some YouTubers where you might mistake them for the very Brazilian. They might be in Brazil. You might literally mistake them for Brazilian. So is a black man who looks Brazilian going to be treated differently in Brazil than a black man that's clearly not Brazilian? Good or bad? I'm not saying that sometimes appearing very different might work in your favor. Sometimes it does. Sometimes when a woman in other countries can tell you're not from that country, you're favored. So it's not always a bad thing, but the difference exists, is what I'm saying. And we cannot pretend it doesn't. And unfortunately for us darker skinned brothers, historically, and in a lot of these colorist countries, the lighter you are, the more you are somewhat favored. Now, again, can a light-skinned brother tell you that? Can he give you his experience as a foreigner? Yes. Are there places where they might see a light-skinned black person and a dark-skinned black person, and the only thing those locals are thinking is, he's not one of us? They're not thinking light-skinned, dark-skinned. They're thinking he's American, or he's black, or he's just not one of us. He's exotic. He's different. Yes. And they can deliver that advice and that information to you effectively because they're also experiencing it. But when it comes to a lot of the nuances of dating, it's best to get advice and tutelage from somebody who kind of fits more your demographic. I am a basic bro, straight up black. I mean, all black Americans got a sprinkle of something else in us. But for the most part, I'm straight up black, obviously. Okay, straight up. So if I come to the majority of black America and say, hey, this country is popping for black guys, you can kind of take that at face value, because if I can do it, you can do it more than likely. If Austin Holloman says, hey, this country is popping for black guys, okay, yeah, listen to him. He might have some good knowledge, but it's not going to be quite accurate. It's not going to be, not, it's accurate for him. It's accurate for his demographic. It's not going to be all the way applicable for me, for folks of my shade, my phenotype. Okay? Just like if Alicia Keys calls up Fantasia and says, hey girl, you need to get over here. These guys love us. Fantasia might go to that party that Alicia Keys invited her to and be sorely disappointed, because she may or may not get the same reception that Alicia Keys is going to get. You get what I'm saying? Likewise. Now, again, it's not as stringent with men, but it is there. Dark-skinned black men many times are seen as aggressive. It's a stereotype. Sometimes that works on our behalf, though. You know, we're seen more masculine too, so it works on our behalf in a lot of ways. But there are some negative stereotypes associated with it. There are negative stereotypes that me and people of my shade and people who look like me have to navigate, that a Skylar will not. Just using Mr. Skylar as an example. And these are, and again, no shade, these are experts in their field. And they're experts in overall knowledge of the land they're in or the land they're going. But in terms of being able to really pinpoint what's going to be happening for a dark-skinned, non-mixed dude, it's not going to be all the way applicable. It can't. It can't. It simply cannot. So I feel like we as basic bros need to follow the lead and well, we need to gather information from those guys with their wealth of knowledge, but also try to find some folks who resemble us a little more and ask them, hey, okay, what's it really like for, some of us of a, darker shade, and not even just darker shade. I mean, just the pure black phenotype, the non-mixed phenotype. You know what I'm saying? So, because there's black men who aren't necessarily dark skinned, but they look black. They just look like a black guy. Okay, well, you need to know how I'm getting along. It's more effective for you to know how well I'm doing in the dating scene in a certain area versus some pretty boy. It's not going to be applicable to you all the way. So yeah, I didn't want to go on too long. I think you guys get the point. It might sound like a shameless plug. I guess it kind of is, but not really, because I know no one's going to watch my video just because I made this video. It's what was on my mind at the time. I don't care who you follow, but try to gain some information and some experiences from individuals who actually resemble you, because that's more than likely how your time is going to go. And some of these places, some of these countries are rather hostile to black people. And you know what I mean? You need some accurate information depending on where you're going. Not really any of the hot spots, not really any of the beaten path places we already know about, places we already routinely go to. But you got folks going over to Kazakhstan and Turkestan and you know what I mean, and all the stands, and we don't know what's going on over there. Like we need to know, how do those people view us? And I can't really get a good read of how someone in Turkmenistan feels about black people if the black person who went over there damn near looks Turkmenistani. You see what I'm saying? Because he's not going to be treated the way I'm going to be treated 9 times out of 10. So, and again, sometimes it works on our behalf, where the girl likes you more because you're more taboo, or you're more exotic, or she just likes how you look. I mean, it isn't always something salacious or, you know, perverted. It sometimes they just like your dark skin color. They think it's pretty. You know what I mean? So that's fine too. But even from a positive point of view, if this is a country that likes their black men to be actually black, and Drake goes there and gets shot down, and he comes back and oh man, that place sucked. You know, they don't like us over there. Well, you know, he may not be the best person to get that information from, because they may love me. You see, it could be good or bad, but you need to get information. It's best to get information from individuals that fit your demographic, that fit your phenotype as closely as possible. None of us are twins. No one's going to look exactly like you, but you know what I'm saying? That fit how we look, so we can actually have a good read on what's going on, because you're spending thousands of dollars to go to these places. Some of you guys are relocating to these places, and you need accurate information before you make these big moves. So I can tell you, me, Prometheus, you can see what I look like. You see, basic bro, basic black bro. Okay, I'm going over. If I tell you, hey, they like black guys over there, you can rest assured they like black guys over there. If I tell you, hey, you know, they're a little, you know, I was there a few weeks. They seemed a little bit racist. You can kind of take what I'm saying a bit more to heart. But I mean, we're not really looking for the negative. We're looking, you know, mainly for the positive. So if I'm planning on going to Vietnam soon. If I report back to you, hey man, you know, Ho Chi Minh City was cool, but when I went to Hanoi, they treated me like a god, man. The girls they start calling me chocolate man and this and that. You can take that with more face value. You can believe what I'm saying more because I look like you. You know what I mean? Or maybe I look worse than you. That's even better. If that's definitely, hey, if he can do it, I know I can do it. You know, you get what I'm saying? That's why I called this the Basic Bro Travel Show, because I wanted to be that person. I'm 5'5", guys. No cut. 5'5", regular schmegular. And I wanted to be able to report back to the regular schmegular dudes out there and say, hey, this is what's happening in the Philippines. This is the experience and the reception and the treatment you can expect in the Philippines, in Thailand, in Brazil, and wherever I travel. Because I'm as basic as you're gonna get. So if I'm telling you it's good, you can rest assured. If I can do it, you can do it too. Okay? I'll tell you right now, I had a ball in the Philippines. I have a ball in Thailand. So take that how you will. To me, you can take that at face value. You're probably going to do well in those areas. If Boris Cujo comes back and tells you that, I mean, okay. That's just like it'd be the same as Austin Holloman coming back and telling you that he did well in Turkey is almost the same as Brad Pitt coming back and telling you that he did well in Turkey. It's almost useless information in terms of the dating component, the how people perceived you physically component, not the general information. His general information is great, it's sound. I'm talking about just the how they view you component there's gaps. It's not going to be all the way applicable. And plus, master teacher, Skylar, Austin Holloman. Not only are they light skinned, they're nice looking guys. These are not basic dudes. These are handsome guys. So, yeah, Skylar, yeah, I expect you to do well everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. That's not. I mean, yeah, I appreciate your general information, but dude, you look like El DeBarge, man. You're gonna get girls everywhere you go, for the most part. You guys get what I'm saying. And I know it's a new day and age where dark-skinned men are doing better, but colorism still exists all over this planet. Damn near, what's his name? Austin, they're bodybuilder. Like, what? You know, and to be honest, even guys that aren't necessarily mixed or biracial looking may not always be the best guide on how a regular person is going to do. Take what's the big guy in Thailand that everyone's scared of? Tom Yum. That dude is gigantic, a bunch of swag, wears designer shoes, and you're not going to have the same. And that he may not look mixed, but you're probably not going to have the same success with women that he has, because he has special attributes that the average guy don't really have. Most guys aren't 6'4", muscular and urban swag and all that. No, you're probably not going to have the same success as him. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say that. You can have similar success, but you're not going to have the same initial reception as him, because women are going to see him and be just, oh my God, he's tall and he's big and he's big. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to use different tactics, because you don't have the same physical attributes as a Tom Yum. You just don't. You're not going to get the girls he gets initially. You're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to listen to someone like me who don't look like that, who don't have those special attributes, and kind of go, hey, what did you do, regular schmegular dude? How did you do over there? That's more accurate for the basic bro, the regular schmegular dude, which, let's be honest, most guys are regular schmegular. That's more accurate to how my results will mimic your results more than some guy that looks like a model or a linebacker for the Raiders. Right? You see what I'm saying? So anyway, guys, this is your main man, Prometheus. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. At least push the like button. Let me know what you think. I just don't feel biracial men, my biracial light-skinned guys can give fully applicable advice to darker skinned men. I just don't believe that, particularly in the very colorist countries that we go to. Dominican Republic is probably one of the most colorist places on this planet. Right? They hate dark skin. But they like us when we go over there. I've been there. I couldn't walk down the street without getting pulled. But you know what I'm saying? They're still very colorist. And all of Asia's colorist. Every last country in Asia's colorist, without exception. Without exception. And I'm not just talking about the Orient. Israel, Iran, Iraq, I'm talking Middle East, Pakistan, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, all colors, all of them, without exception. So you need advice from someone who looks more like you. All right, guys. Main man Prometheus. Till the next one.